accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr. Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Broadcasting live, deep from an underground military bunker or a spaceship high above the plane of Earth from the most trusted puppet in media. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman, and this is the news of the day. Yes, we're trying to see if this is actually going to work out. I'm not really sure because we are sitting there live. If you're there in TikTok land, can you hear? We're trying to do some testing here. Not sure exactly if we've got it all worked out. So if you're there in TikTok land, let me know in the comments. I see people joining in as we're going live. Let me know if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, I need to know. I need to make sure that there is something going on in terms of what's going. Can you hear? Let's see here. Did you eat too many beets? No, I don't know. Did I eat too many beets? I don't. Am I a beet eater? That's the question. Well, here you go. Let's see here. I am broadcasting live over on several different channels right now. So I'm not really sure exactly if everybody in TikTok land can hear me. So if you can't hear me, let me know. Say something in the chat. But we are broadcasting live on multiple streams right now. So we're here broadcasting live on TikTok. We're broadcasting live over on YouTube. We also are broadcasting on Facebook and Twitter. So we're broadcasting live on 4 different platforms at the moment. Hey, what's the news? Well, I'm going to get into the news. Hopefully you can hear me. Like I said, this is the first time that we've done this. But there's all sorts of news that is going around today. As far as what the big news is, the big news, of course, coming right out of the gate. I'm good. Okay, they said I'm good. They can hear me. So you can hear me. You can hear what's going on. So there are, like I said, there are other different channels that we're doing. So we're broadcasting live on TikTok. We're broadcasting live on TikTok, broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So that's at Sam Newsman on Twitter, at Sam Newsman on TikTok, at Sam Newsman. What's the number of the day? Well, the day is 1. It's 1, and we got 1 more minute until midnight. So we have 1 more minute until midnight. So that is exactly what's happening right now. 1 more minute. He said, "You're good. We can hear you." Well, that's great. I got all kinds of things set up. I'm not exactly sure how this is working, but of course it seems to be working just fine. Now, of course, the question is what is the news of the day? We have 1 more minute till midnight. The number of the day is 1. February 1st in the year 2023. And of course, here we are broadcasting live. The news of the day, FBI searches Biden's home. And something about documents, the documents in Biden's home. So I'm not sure if all of you guys saw that. Another news item of the day, Tom Brady retired. Yeah, so Tom Brady retired. That was another interesting news item that happened as well. So we have Tom Brady retiring. We have Biden with documents. You're a puppet. What you know about the news? Well, I'm the most trusted puppet in media. So, of course, if you're not aware of this, I have an actual radio show. No, not a podcast. An actual radio show every Saturday morning. Every Saturday morning. So you said, what do I know about the news? More than you, because I've been doing this since Roswell. And that's just the reality of all of this. So here I am, the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, Sam Newsman. The news isn't very fun for Elmo. Well, has nothing to do with Elmo, but I'll tell you what, there is news going all over the place. And let's see here, in terms of Harry Banana. Not sure about Harry Banana. FBI after Biden's lawyers. Yes, so that's what seems to be the case right now. Now, as far as interesting news, like I said, Biden, they did search his home. They didn't find anything. They did not find anything. Yeah, Tom Brady retired and then unretired. Yeah, that's about right. That seems to be the case. What's the over-under of whether or not he's going to stay retired? Because that is the question. I trust you more than my own government. Well, you should. I mean, here I am, a real media puppet. The interesting thing about it is that everyone says that this person's a media puppet, that person's a media puppet, and there's media puppets everywhere. But here I am, a real media puppet, giving you the news. Now, I can be upset about all of that. I could be upset. I could be very upset and get, what was it? Offended? I guess is the right word to use. I could be offended about all this, but I'm not offended. Brady just needs to retire for good. Yeah. So, but I could be offended because all I do is I see everywhere people saying that this person's a media puppet, this person's a political puppet. And of course, I could be upset about that. But here I am, a real puppet giving you the news. So, but I'm not upset. So, but I'm not upset at all. No. Wait, I could be. But I'm not. Be my daddy puppet. No, I don't know if I'll be your daddy puppet. That doesn't seem to be on the agenda, at least just yet. I know usually the whole daddy thing involves money. So I'm not sure if I can do the whole daddy puppet thing, because then I would have to be able to, supply you funds, right? Supply you funds, because that's what the whole daddy thing is about, right? So the whole daddy thing is about supplying, sometimes they call it flowers. So flowers, yeah. So I don't have any flowers to give. No flowers to give, but here I am once again. Oh, now it is. Okay, so it is now the second day of February. We just reached midnight here on the East Coast. But if you're not on the East Coast, you're still, you know what you are? You're behind the times. If you're in the Central Time Zone, it's 11 o'clock. If you are in the Mountain Time Zone, it is 10 o'clock. And if you are on the Pacific Coast, it is 9 o'clock. Right. So you are in the past. And one of the things that I always heard is I heard that a lot of times, howdy, 10 p.m. in Wyoming is what somebody says here in the chat. So I can see the chat. If they get offended, they're go to offender. Some of this is hard to see. Yeah, well, maybe, you know what? Maybe I need to get glasses. I'm not really sure. But like I said, it is not, well, it's Groundhog Day. It's not groundhogs, because there's not one. There's just the one, Punxsutawney Phil. And that's something that we will be doing. Oh, thank you so much. I'm adorable. That's a great, that's fantastic. I'm glad that you think so. I will definitely take those compliments in stride. But like I said, we are going to be broadcasting live. We're going to be broadcasting live at 6:30 a.m. That's Eastern time, because Punxsutawney Phil will be coming out of his groundhog hole in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Now, a lot of times people sit there and they say, well, Punxsutawney Phil is going to see a shadow, and the groundhog sees a shadow, and well, it has nothing to do with the shadow. It has everything to do with him selecting which scroll it is, because it's a scroll that's happening. So it is a scroll. Giselle will have him back there taking sacks from juiced up 20-year-olds. That's what somebody's still talking about Tom Brady. Some people can't spell. Well, it's what's really difficult is the fact that when you're using spell check and you say something, then all of a sudden out of nowhere, somebody says, oh, wait a minute. You're literally my favorite TikTok. I found you a week ago and I've been hooked. Oh, well, that's great. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Definitely appreciate all of you out there in TikTok land. Just started doing the whole reel thing back on January the 1st. Been doing this for a while on radio. Do it on radio every Saturday morning. That's Saturday morning. Download the Live 365 app. The Live 365 app, search WDCE, and you'll be able to listen to me on Saturday mornings. I play all your favorite cartoon themes, and I take cartoon song requests. That's right. Yeah, cartoon song request. But anyway, so when he's back to the news, I have back to the news. So what do you say? We talked about Tom Brady. We talked about Joe Biden. Oh, yeah, Punxsutawney Phil. About to buy a radio. Well, you don't need to buy a radio. You can download the app. Download the Live 365 app on your phone or smart device, mobile, whatever. You can even probably go to the website, Live 365. You can go to also WDCE.org, and you can listen to me every Saturday morning for the only radio show dedicated to the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by me. Yes, a real puppet, a real media puppet. Like I said, and I could be upset. I could be upset about all the humans that are being told they're being called puppets around, but I'm not going to be upset. They're just all wannabe puppets because here I am, a real media puppet, doing what I was born to do, and that's read the news. So FBI searches Biden home. Tom Brady retires. What else do we have? Oh, here's an interesting one. Arkansas set to impose, let's see here, restrictions on drag queens. Okay, so Arkansas. So here we go. This is coming from the Washington Post. Let's see here. Pull this up. Yeah, taking on drag shows, Latinx, and more. Arkansas moves from rhetoric to action. So, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders in May told a crowd outside of a Dairy Queen, why has it got to be a Dairy Queen? Shouldn't you be upset that it's called Dairy Queen? It needs to be called Dairy Person. Isn't that right? So, that puppet has a face made for radio, says Joel. Yes, thank you so much, Joel. The groundhog has too much power. We must get rid of this. Oh, no. It's interesting because, like I said, it's not the groundhog's shadow. It's all about the groundhog selecting which scroll is appropriate. But like I said, we'll be doing that at 6:30. Set your alarm, 6:30 Eastern. We will be doing Punxsutawney Phil, and we'll be talking about Punxsutawney Phil as he arises out of his groundhog hole with the men in black hats, the men in top hats. Anyways, it's the men in black hats and the top hats, and then they show us what exactly is happening. But anyway, so back to Huckabee Sanders. Governor Huckabee Sanders, outside of a Dairy Queen in Little Rock, said, if elected governor, she wanted to make sure that the state my kids are growing up in and the state every kid is growing up in is the same one that I grew up in. Well, the first thing that you would need to do, Miss Sanders, is make sure that you got cartoons back on Saturday morning, because that's really the big problem with all of this. That the government took away your cartoons? It was the government that took away your cartoons. The government took away your cartoons when? Well, I'll tell you when. It was back in 1990. So they took away your cartoons in 1990. And while I say that they took away your cartoons in 1990, it wasn't until about 1996 that they finally really moved on legislation. So, but that's something else. So if she wants to go back, she needs to make sure that we do have Saturday morning cartoons anymore. I mean, because that's really what we need. We need Saturday morning cartoons. But because we don't have that, you have me. You have me on the radio doing what I do every Saturday morning. Barely a month in office, though, Sanders has already issued an executive order that would prohibit critical race theory in Arkansas schools. Now, I'm not going to get into critical race theory right now. That's for another day. And other bans the term Latinx in official documents. As soon as this week, she could also sign a separate bill that would impose restrictions on drag shows, which activists said could have far-reaching and harmful effects for the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ community. State legislators and Sanders, who was elected in November with 63% of the vote, feel empowered and that the voters have given them a mandate to take a side in the culture wars, said Heather Yates, a political science professor at the University of Central Arkansas. Arkansas is among more than a dozen states where legislators have introduced initiative or signal laws targeting transgender rights, drag shows, and the way race is taught in school. Analysts say they are part of a larger conservative effort to push back against woke agenda in an effort to galvanize their conservative base. So that would be very interesting to see. So is it illegal to air Speedy Gonzalez in the USA? Speedy Gonzalez did get canceled a while back. Not only did Speedy Gonzalez get canceled, Pepe Le Pew was not in the new Space Jam movie. He was supposed to be in the Space Jam movie, but Pepe Le Pew ended up getting taken out of the Space Jam movie, which is crazy. Nice Virginia plate. I'm a Buchanan County hillbilly living in the West Midlands of Ingerland. So anyways, I'm just reading what's coming on here on some of my feeds. I have multiple feeds going up. But yeah, so that is what's happening in Arkansas. Let's see. Do we have any other stories going on? LAX goes mysteriously dark. Another power grid attack. We don't know about that. Let's see here. COVID drug linked to new virus mutation, study says. Oh, are we allowed to talk about COVID, or are we going to get taken off the air? Is it going to get struck down and taken off the air? I don't know. I'm not really sure. England. Oh, okay. England. Midwestlands of England. See, it said Ingerland. I didn't know it said. So it said Ingerland. That's what it says on my thing, Ingerland, but not England. So it's England. That's where you're coming from. Eventually, we will all sit and stare without saying a word. Well, I guess that's the idea, right? The idea is for you to sit and stare without saying a word, because that's the key. That is the key. Sit and stare without using a word. You just sit down and shut up. That's what they told you in school too, right? They told you in school just to sit down and shut up as well. So let's see here. LAX goes mysteriously dark. COVID drug. Let's see. Do you want to do the COVID drug? I don't know if we should do the COVID drug story. If we do the COVID drug story, like I said, we might get taken off. And they said, oh, well, you can't say that and say that I'm spreading misinformation. Here I am, a media puppet, and this is a parody, but I'm reading the news. And then they want to sit there and say not. Brittany Jones or no politics. Brittany Jones or no politics. Who is Brittany Jones? Do you know a Brittany Jones? Don't know a Brittany Jones. But I was typing with my hick accent. That's what someone said. Oh, the England. That's right. Chat GPT. Have you heard about Chat GPT? Are you familiar with Chat GPT? Chat GPT is very interesting. It's one of those. It's the new program. A lot of times people are not really sure exactly what Chat GPT is all about. Well, it's an AI program. Right, it's an AI program that talks about, well, you can just ask it anything. Sit down and shut up and watch the drag queen disco. You know, I never really had a problem with drag queens. No. Just when they're reading to my children. Not that I have children, but when children start throwing dollar bills at the drag queens, we probably have a problem. I mean, I have no problem with drag queen shows. Yeah. You know, one of the things that I remember, so going back to the drag queen thing, I remember the first time going to a drag queen show and I sat in the aisle. Oh, what a big mistake. If you sit on the aisle, they're going to get you. Yeah, they're going to get you. They're going to cover you with lipstick. They're going to kiss you and everything. And then if you don't hand them the dollar bills, then, they're going to get really upset. So, but I remember the second time going to a drag show, I sat up against the wall. Yeah, so I wouldn't get a bunch of lipstick all over my face. I got the first time. It was the first time that I ever got. They tricked me. Here I am, a media puppet. And they said, Sam, you know what you need to do? You need to sit on the aisle so you can have the best seat in the house. And I said, well, you know what? It is my first drag show. It is my first drag show. Might as well try that, right? So of course, here I am sitting in the middle of the, right next to the aisle. And as they come walking down the aisle, they come sitting there, they're, smooching all over my face, and, all up in my grill, all up in my puppet grill. And I'm glad that they kept handing me the dollar bills because I didn't know. I had no clue. I had no clue that was going to happen. But had makeup smeared all over my face. Lipstick all over my face from the drag queens. But it was funny because they all kept laughing at me because I was sitting there in the middle next to the aisle as they kept walking down. No, it was great. I remember the MC one time saying, he said, hey, well, he's like, are you guys sitting next to a skinny bitch? Looking around, he's like, are you sitting next to a skinny bitch? And he asked that question, the MC did. And he said, if you're sitting next to a skinny bitch, punch that bitch in the neck. I'm serious. That's what he said. He said, punch that bitch in the neck. So any news on Russia and the Ukraine? Well, we'll get to that tomorrow. I promise that we'll get to Russia and the Ukraine tomorrow. Well, I guess later today. We'll do another live later today. Like I said, we're going to be going live for the Groundhog event at 6:30 this morning. At 6:30 this morning. So that is in about 6 hours or so. In about 6.5 hours, we're going to go live. We'll go live 6.5 hours from now for Punxsutawney Phil. And so we will do that. So I do promise that we will do that. And then probably for the second live that we'll do today, well, I guess it would be the third, I guess, counting now. Well, this is supposed to be the first live. Late night, Sam. That's right. Cato's Collection. That's right. Cato, here I am broadcasting live. If you're not following Cato, go to Cato's Collection. That's with a K. Cato's Collection on YouTube and all social channels. You can follow Cato. Cato does a lot of toy reviews. Cato, I'm actually giving the news. I'm giving the news, talking about the time that I went to a drag queen show, sitting in the middle of the aisle, not in the middle of the aisle, but next to the aisle. And the next thing you know, by the time its drag show ended, my face is covered with makeup and smeared lipstick. They got me. That's what happens. They got me it was the first time. Like I said, the second time I went to the drag show, the second time I went to the drag show, I sat up against the wall. I was as far away from the damn aisle as I possibly could be. See, that time, the second time I went, I was handing dollar bills down to the people who were sitting in the next to the aisle. But the first time I was, I'm just glad that people, I don't know where all the dollar bills came from. They just kept coming down like the dollar bills just kept coming over and over and over. And it was a party. It was a party. But you know what? You know what's not a party? Is when the drag queens are reading to the 5-year-olds in elementary school. So that's probably where everybody's going wrong. So how do groundhogs know so much? Well, I have no clue. I just know Punxsutawney Phil has been doing this for a long time, but it has nothing to do with his shadow. It has nothing to do with China. Thoughts on China and Taiwan? Well, my thoughts on China is that I've never been. Would like to go to Taiwan and China. I've not been. I do like Chinese food. Can I say that? And one time I got a fortune cookie. One time I did get a fortune cookie, and this was very interesting. I got a fortune cookie. I cracked it open, and you know what the fortune said? The fortune was interesting because the fortune said, "You will be hungry later, order takeout." I'm serious. That's exactly what it said. It said, "You will be hungry later, order takeout," which I thought was fantastic marketing technique from the restaurant itself. If there's anything that you should do, that you should definitely order takeout later. So that was it. Let's see, what else do we have going on here? Yeah, so we have, like I said, COVID drug linked to new virus mutation, study says. Let's see here. Fed announces smallest interest hike in year as inflation eases somewhat. Inflation seems to be going down. So as long as you like all foods equally. Well, I do, but I am a vegetarian. A puppetarian? A veggie puppet? A puppet? I'm not really sure. Anyway, so I'm vegetarian. No meat. No meat at all. So not doing any of the meat. So, oh, wait a minute. Here's a good one. Let me see if I can pull this one up. Let's see here. Do we got this? Here's a good story. Listen, here we go. Hand, pink waving hand, pink waving hand. Let me see here. Hand, pink waving hand. Hello there. Hello there. Here, this is the camera over here on YouTube. Like I said, we are broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. That's this camera over here. The camera that I'm looking at directly is TikTok. I have more TikTok followers than anywhere else. I have more TikTok. So TikTok gets this camera right here, and then over here is the camera for YouTube. Got to at least stay in. Pink wave, the pink wave. Pink wave. So that's that. But in terms of not eating meat, I'm not eating meat. But I'll tell you, one of the things I am eating is this article that I just pulled up here. Let me see here. Scientists inject fish with alligator DNA to create mutant creatures. Now, if that doesn't sound like some Ninja Turtle stuff, I don't know what does. So that is some crazy stuff. So yeah, I'm serious. Scientists have put alligator DNA in catfish to make them live longer. Millions of fish are harvested across the world each year, but nearly half are killed due to diseases. So let's see here. What else is it? Let's see. Here we go. So, however, studies have found that by inserting alligator genes into catfish, their survival chances increase by 5-fold. The gene dubbed cathinlictin contains properties that protect reptiles from infections when wounded. Typically, farmers treat sick fish with antibiotics, but this contributes to the development of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. But now scientists at Auburn University in Alabama are fusing the DNA of the two species. That's alligators and catfish. So someone said that's a great idea. That is a great idea. Cato says, no way that could go wrong. No, absolutely. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that at all. Let's see here. They detailed their findings on the preprint server BioRex IV. The paper has not yet been peer reviewed. Oh, so it's not been peer reviewed, but it will be. It will be peer reviewed. So I'm sure that will be coming pretty soon. Let's see here. Scientists use CRISPR to insert the alligator gene that codes for the catholictin into catfish. It found the survival rate of the genetically modified fish, GMO. That's that. Here we go. GMO, genetically modified. I'm not sure. Here we go with the genetically modified stuff. Of course, that's going to upset everybody. So we have the genetically modified thing going on here. So it found the survival rate of the genetically modified fish was resistant to a common infection. The fish are also sterile and can't reproduce unless they are injected with reproductive hormones, MIT technology reported. So the MIT scientists are doing this as well. Also what MIT scientists do, they also work with, what's that company that does the robots? I forget. The robot company. There was a video a couple weeks ago of the robot jumping around and throwing around stuff. Dynamic. I can't remember it off the top of my head. So it says, though, you can't be serious. No, they are serious. Boston Dynamics. That's what it is. Thank you. Somebody in the chat sat there and said it. It's great. Boston Dynamics. Yeah, Boston Dynamics. So the MIT research, they're also affiliated with Boston Dynamics. I wish I understood genetics. All you just got to do is just read. Sometimes people sit there and they ask me, well, Sam, how do you know so much? And I said, well, the reason why is just because I read. I do read. I read a lot. And I say, well, how do you read? And well, I mean, just grab a book and start reading. So what else do we have going on here? So it says the fish are sterile, blah, 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 blah. On a per pound basis, anywhere from 60 to 70% of U.S. aquaculture is catfish production. Says Rex Durnham, who works on the genetic improvement of catfish at Auburn University. So we have Auburn University doing this. We have MIT doing this. Reading is fundamental. Reading is very fundamental. They're going to make real-life street sharks. That's a good point. They're going to make real-life street sharks. They're going to make real-life Ninja Turtles. And, well, hey, I mean, what else could you ask for in 2023? So what else could you ask for in 2023? Let's see here. What's more, farming fish that are resistant to disease will produce less waste, one researcher said from Louisiana State University told MIT. So we have Louisiana State University, we have MIT, we have Auburn University. So there's a couple of different scientists that are working on this, which means that it will be peer reviewed. It will be peer reviewed. So that peer review is going to be coming. So that is what will happen. So, yeah, but real life street sharks, real life Ninja Turtles, that seems to be the big thing. What else? It's just too difficult to produce enough of these fish to get a viable genetically healthy line going. Well, you say the genetically healthy line, but we read just a few moments ago that they haven't done that. So people say they want to join. So I would like people to join in, but however, I do not have access to be able to do that. So I can't do it just yet. I will be eventually taking requests and having people join in. So you will be able to do that soon, but there is more on that will be talked about later at a later time. There are over 3,000 catfish species in the world, and they are mostly bred for human consumption. Their name refers to the prominent barbels, which resemble cat whiskers. So that's what that's all about. So very interesting to see how that's all going to. News anchor claims fired after Scientology complaints over Presley coverage. I'm not sure what that is. Has the first person to live to 150 been born? That's really interesting. Oh, here's another one. Every bite of junk food increases the risk of cancer. What the hell doesn't increase the risk of cancer? So do we want? I think that's maybe the one that we want to go with. I'm still tripping out about the fact that we have catfish and alligator DNA that's going to be that's being mixed right now. A great mutant turtle soon. Cat dog. What's next? A cat dog. A cat dog would be very interesting. I would be interested in a cat dog. Let's see here. What else do we have going on? Like I said, we have been broadcasting about for all 30 minutes. Ding! I just saw the ticker go over. So it's been 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes that we've been here live. We'll do this. We'll do one more article. Let's do one more article. And then we will, every second you live increases the risk of dying of old age. You know, that is intelligence right there. So I'm going to say that again. This is the wisdom of Cato. Cato's wisdom from Cato's cave, from Cato's cranium. How about that? Cato's cranium? Yeah, that's right. Cato's cranium comes up with this piece of wisdom. Every second you live increases the risk of dying of old age. I mean, if that doesn't hit you hard, I don't know what does. So Sharknado 66. How about that? So every bite of junk food increases the risk of cancer. Let's see here. Can we get this? Hold on. Let's pull this up. Oh my gosh, everything is spazzing out over here. I wanted to get to the chatbot stuff. Well, maybe we'll get to the chatbot stuff later. So let's go ahead. Let's go and click on this. Every bite of junk food. Let's see here. Can we get this all set up? All right, here we go. Every bite of junk food increases the risk of dying from cancer. Right. So this is coming out of London. Eating junk food, which scientists often call ultra-processed foods, including sugary drinks, sliced bread, and ready-made meals, may be increasing your risk of cancer with every bite. A new study warns that these foods are generally high in salt, fat, sugar, and contain artificial additives and can also lead to obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. They are often cheaper, more convenient to buy, and heavily marketed in comparison to other healthier options. Now, researchers say they can increase a person's risk of death from cancer, especially among women. So they increase a person's risk from death from cancer. The average person in the UK consumes more than half of their daily energy intake from ultra-processed foods. I'm going to read that again. So if it's the average person in the UK, imagine what the hell's going on in the US. Thank you. Good night. Your voice has been great to listen to before I go to Neverland. Well, farewell, and don't ever grow up. If you go to, if you really want to experience Neverland, make sure that you never grow up. Let's see. Time is nature's way of preventing everything from happening at once. But I did a story the other day about everything happening at once, and it seemed to get a lot of traction. Was it over here on TikTok? It was on one of these social media channels. I'm not sure. They all eventually blend together. You can follow me on @SamNewsMan all over the place. But going back to the average person in the UK consumes more than half of their daily energy intake from ultra-processed foods. This is exceptionally high and concerning, as ultra-processed foods are produced with industrial-derived ingredients and often use food additives to adjust for color, flavor, consistency, texture, extended shelf life, etc. Our bodies may not react the same way to these ultra-processed ingredients and additives as they do to fresh and nutritious, minimally processed foods. So let's see here. I just got the number one glitter badge. There you go. Sent a rose 1 time. Yeah, thank you everyone who is sending things over on TikTok. So the idea, of course, is to do a TikTok live stream every day. There's some kind of competition going on. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but but you guys can sit there and support. You can support the channel by going to TikTok. And hopefully, eventually, I will be able to maybe win something. I'm not really sure how this thing works. They just told me that I needed to go live every day for 12 days up until the Super Bowl. So I'll be here live every day. Of course, any type of support that you do give us on TikTok just helps us as we continue to set the standard and raise the bar. One of the ways we will make sure that we are setting the standard and raising the bar is making sure that we're not eating processed foods. So our bodies may not react the same way as these ultra-processed ingredients as they do to other nutritious and minimally processed foods. However, ultra-processed foods are everywhere and highly marketed with cheap price and attractive packaging to promote consumptions. This shows our food environment needs urgent reform to protect the population from ultra-processed foods. In the UK, I did read that they actually have a little bit more stricter laws against foods than they do here in the US. You only live once, so I'm going to eat my junk food. You only live once, so I'm going to eat my junk food, is what somebody said. I heard a pastor and a preacher say one time, he's talked about junk food. I'm serious. There was a pastor, a preacher, a pastor. He said, I'm going to sit there and keep eating junk food because I'd rather die with a smile on my face than celery in my teeth. That's what he said. I'd rather die with, I'm going to keep eating junk food. I'm going to keep eating pork and French fries and hamburgers and everything. And I'm going to keep eating it because I'd rather die with a smile on my face than celery in my teeth. People with come look at me in my casket and they would sit there. They see a nice old smile on my face as I'm laying in my casket saying, oh man, he must have ate well. He must have been eating great. Well, actually, maybe eating bad. But, of course, if there was celery all in his teeth and he looked all miserable sitting in the casket and everything, and then he passed the plate around a second or third time, because, if you pass the plate around one time and you shake it up and you don't hear anything, or no, what is it? Yeah. If you pass the plate around and you shake it up and all you hear is that you hear it jingling, you're supposed to pass it around again. Yeah. So pass it around again because it shouldn't be jingling. You shouldn't be able to hear the change in the plate. So he talked about eating junk food, dying with a smile on his face, sitting in his casket with celery instead of with celery at his teeth, and then he passed the plate around again. So it's incredible. It is incredible. What's up, Curtis? I see Sergeant Schultz over there as well. So, like I said, we are broadcasting live. It is now February the 2nd. It's February the 2nd, but we started this on February the 1st. We started this on February the 1st. We wanted to try to do this for the first day. And like I said, we will be back at 6:30. We will be back at 6:30. Let's see here. Hold on. Okay. Oh, look, here's some more stuff. So the team also, we'll just finish this article first, and then we'll get out of here. So we will want to finish this article. We are broadcasting live on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. But want to let everybody know. So we are here live. The researchers used UK records to gather their data. They studied the diets of 200,000 middle-aged adults, monitoring their health over 10 years and looking at each person's risk of developing any cancer overall, as well as the specific risk of developing 34 types of cancer. The team also looked into the risk of people dying from cancer. The study reveals that the higher consumption of ultra-processed foods displays a connection to a greater risk of developing cancer overall, while putting people more at risk specifically of ovarian and brain cancers. Eating too much junk food also displayed a link to an increased risk of dying from cancer, most notably ovarian and breast cancers. I'm going to say that again. Eating too much junk food also displayed a link to an increased risk of dying from cancer, and most notably those cancers were ovarian and breast cancers. So that's bad. Don't want that to happen. For every 10% increase in ultra-processed food in a person's diet, there was an increased incidence of 2% for cancer overall and a 19% increase of ovarian cancer specifically. For adults, more of these ultra-processed foods they ate, the higher the risk they had of developing obesity and type 2 diabetes. These links remained even after adjusting for a range of socioeconomical behavior and dietary factors, such as smoking status, physical activity, body mass index. The Imperial College of London team has previously reported that levels of consumption of ultra-processed foods in the United Kingdom are the highest in Europe for both adults and children. We need clear front pack warning labels for ultra-processed foods. The World Health Organization, they have everything correct, don't they? Oh, my goodness. The WHO and the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization has previously recommended restricting ultra-processed foods as part of a healthy, sustainable diet. Well, hell, at least they got that right. Because the jabs, they got that shit all wrong. Right? So, it was ridiculous. All right, Brazil has also banned the marketing of ultra-processed foods in school. We need clear front pack warning labels for ultra-processed foods to aid consumer choices. And our sugar tax should be extended to cover ultra-processed fizzy drinks, fruit-based and milk-based drinks, as well as other ultra-processed products, one doctor added. There are already labels on foods. So there's already food labels. Question is do you know how to read the food labels, right? I mean, that's when you've become picky. That's when you've become picky is when you grab something at the grocery store, and the first thing you do is you flip it over and you look at what it says on the label. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's perfectly fine to look at labels. That's great. I mean, yeah, it's responsible. Big business cancer, big business serving big business. Yes, big business and advertising. Advertising. It's always about the advertising. The advertising is a big deal. So let's see here. Oh, here we go. Lower income households are particularly vulnerable to these cheap and unhealthy ultra processed foods. Minimally processed and freshly prepared meals should be subsidized to ensure everyone has access to healthy, nutritious, and affordable options. But just because they do have access, the question is are they going to take it? Right? Are they going to take the food? Have access to the food? That is the question. I'm not really sure. That's why I'm asking. Although our study cannot prove causation, other available evidence shows that reducing ultra-processed foods in our diet could provide important health benefits. Further research is needed to confirm these findings and understand the best public health strategies to reduce the widespread presence and harms of ultra-processed foods in our diet. So there we go. So this study is published in the Journal of eClinical Medicine. So it's actually published. Remember the other study that they had, about the fish, about the alligator DNA, that has not been published in a study yet, but this one has been published in a study. So once again, that seems to be the case right there. So what is it? Here we are. We are now at 12:38 here on the East Coast, 12:38. Been broadcasting now for about 41 minutes. Have about 3 minutes left. I am being able to read here in the chat. Anything you want to ask real quick before we head out? Jamaica, like I said, has the first person to live to be 150 been born yet? I don't know. Bots are recreating celebrity voices for racist rants. Oh, man. Shock. You'll soon be able to talk to dead relatives in the metaverse. What? Say that again. You'll soon be able to talk to dead relatives in the metaverse. Now, that's something that's very interesting. Maybe we'll talk about that a little later this afternoon. I want to save some of these stories for later on today, but just make sure that you keep an eye out. We are also trained, and it gets worse every generation, to hurry up so quick foods are how we eat. Yeah, well, absolutely. Let's see here. Britain grinds to a halt as 500,000 workers go on strike. Schools shut, stops trains. Let's see here. Oh, I see some Trump stuff over here. We'll get to Trump later. George Santos interviewed tens after questions about all the lies that he has. So there's so much news going on. Of course, the only way that you should be able to get your news. Thanks, Sam. See you soon. All right. Like I said, we will be here for the rest of the day. So just check us out throughout the day. Thanks for joining in, of course, and giving us the heads up. I think that was the commenter who brought up the Boston Dynamics. Yeah, Boston Dynamics. Right, who they operate out of MIT as well. But here we are, like I said, broadcasting live. We're gonna head out here when? We're gonna head out here in just a few moments. Yeah, in about 2 or 3 minutes here. But we do have some other news items that we will get to. And I want to thank everyone, of course, for joining us. But we will be back, like I said, Australia to oust monarch from banknotes. And then the news just keeps getting better and better and better. Oh, my goodness. It's like there's never a shortage of news. People say, oh, it's a slow news day. Well, not for a real media puppet, it's not. There's always news to be had. There's always news that is around. But I want to thank everybody, of course, for joining us. And we're here live on TikTok. Going to be doing these TikTok lives. But not only are we live on TikTok, we're going to be doing this on YouTube. Here it is, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Maybe we'll try to see if we can get Instagram tomorrow as well. It's kind of difficult getting this all done at once. Now I got some more people that are joining in. Shout out to everybody that's joining in the chat. Of course, you can support us. However, I think that, what do you give, roses? You give diamonds or something over here on TikTok? I'm not really sure. But any of your support does help us. Now it says there's 8 people there. There's 8 people watching. At one point, it was more than that. But of course, then they see a real media puppet giving you the news. We've been talking about Chat GPT. We were talking about drag queens. We were talking about alligator and fish DNA that has been joined together. Rather talk to a puppet than some of the others, than some of the other ones. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, of course, you'd rather get your media from a real media puppet, right? I mean, of course, that's what you would want, especially when it's the most trusted puppet in media. And I've been doing this since Roswell. So, like I said, Pop the Trunk. Hey, what's going on? Pop the Trunk Toys. Like I see, I'm seeing chats in all different places. I have chats over here, chats over there, chats everywhere. You're very charming. You're very charming. Thank you so much. It's some of those comments that makes me want to just keep on talking. People then they talk about my beautiful puppet voice, and they say, "Well, we love your puppet voice. Why don't you sing for us?" Well, maybe I will sing in just a few moments, but first we need to talk about how you can follow me. You can follow me at Sam Newsman on Instagram, at Sam Newsman on Facebook, at Sam Newsman on Twitter, at Sam Newsman on TikTok. Here we're on TikTok right now. Sam Newsman on YouTube, all over the place, social media everywhere, at Sam Newsman. www.samnewsman.com. Of course, we're still working on the website, but I do have a radio show every Saturday morning. Right, the radio show every Saturday morning from 9 to noon. That's Eastern time, where we play cartoon themes and we talk about some of the news of the day. Gonna start playing some more movie themes lately. Had a request of some movie themes, maybe some Superman, some Batman, maybe some old westerns as well. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Probably one of my favorites. Wah 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 wah. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, 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 wah. I mean, who doesn't love that? So, but yeah, so shout out to everybody, of course, and you know where to find me, at Sam Newsman, all over social media. We're going to be back tomorrow at 6:30. Well, I guess later today. So at 6:30, come back around here. If you come back around here at 6:30, one of the things that will happen is that we will be going live when Punxsutawney Phil, that's right, Punxsutawney Phil going live. Clint Eastwood Classic. Of course, Clint Eastwood Classics. But when Punxsutawney Phil comes out of his hole, out of his little groundhog hole, it has nothing to do with the shadow. It has nothing to do with the shadow. I don't know why everybody talks about the shadow. You know why they talk about the shadow? You know what? That's misinformation about the whole shadow thing. No. There's 2 scrolls. There's one scroll, and then there's a second scroll. And Punxsutawney Phil goes and picks out which scroll that needs to be read. And one of the scrolls says that it will be in early spring, and the other scroll says that it'll be 6 more weeks of winter. So that'll be at 6:30 Eastern time, where we will go live for Punxsutawney Phil here on Groundhog's Day. The only place you can see that, of course, at Sam Newsman on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. Also going to try to do Instagram as well. So I'm glad that all of you have been able to show up here. This is our first live. This is the very first live. So if you were here and you were a part of this first live, consider yourself one of the first. You can sit there and claim that too. Say, I was there when Sam Newsman did his first TikTok live that wasn't from the radio station. Because I did one from the radio station this past weekend, but this is the first TikTok live that we've done where we've just talked specifically about the news. So once again, shout out to everybody who has been watching. We will be back at 6:30. Make sure you just set your notifications so that way you know when it is. Everybody that donated, roses, flowers, diamonds, whatever is donated here on TikTok, thank you so much for that. There's some kind of competition going on from now until the 12th. So we're going to try to be here every single day for at least 30 minutes. Lone Dragon, shout out to Lone Dragon, of course. Do you think Bill Murray will see his shadow? I'm not sure if Bill Murray will see his shadow, but we will be looking to see if Punxsutawney Phil will be grabbing the correct scroll. So once again, at Sam Newsman, everywhere that you can follow on social media, and that's where we'll be. So what was that again? Oh, yes, the song. Well, it's side. Oh yeah. What was it? What? No. Yeah. Okay. I got you. Right. Oh, okay. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that Game of Thrones is what they play. A house of cards, just day by day. The voters lose in every way. It's just like I always say. It's sideshow infotainment, politicians and news anchors, and talking points that make my eardrums bleed. The most trusted puppet in media is me. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman, and we will see you at 6:30 from the most trusted puppet in media. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman.